Mayor Day.
Yes, just with regards to the preamble point, I have no problem with a brief preamble, but we don't want to make people down too much text because it'll scare them away potentially. So just a brief introduction of why we have introduced this survey and what we hope to achieve by it, I think would be sufficient at this stage.
Part of the goal is to have better communication. I think from the survey, if you communicate in the preamble what we do and educate people about how we do communicate, it will go a long ways towards improving the communication. So, either way. But if the goal is to find out what we're doing wrong, then that's one way. But if the goal is to improve communications, the preamble with the survey educates and informs that there is a multitude of ways to find out your information. That's my 2 cents. Councilor Roman.
This is an educational tool, so it needs to be presented as such.
Yeah.
Because we are continuously working to improve, so present it that way.
Councilor Bonds.
Just a quick question, a point of clarification on 7B, because it is a communication tool. I was a little unclear with the third response, which is neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. That sounds to me like a don't know, and there's a don't know in there. So I'm easily confused, so I give you that. But I'm thinking of John, what do you call him, Councilor Russell, John and Jane Blow on the street or whatever? I'm just thinking like simplify. That's the only question I have.
There seems to be a lot of boxes, and a lot of boxes that scare me away. This is what the deputy mayor had put together for the boxes.
Yes, I can speak to that.
You can explain the dissatisfied nor satisfied.
Yes, there was, I think this was done in Vaughan in North Toronto, and they had spent tens of thousands of dollars hiring a consultant, and this was basically the survey that they sent out with some adaptations for lands and shores. So, I mean, the consultant, we can save ourselves consultant wages by taking advantage of what they did. However, doesn't mean we can't question it. Absolutely. It does make sense.
Yes. Councilor Scott.
People have asked us for communication, and they've asked us to give a lot of communication, and they're complaining we're not giving enough. So I think that with a survey that we have here, we've given them plenty of choices to be able to tell us what they want or don't want. I wouldn't change it too much. I'd leave it alone.
But the preamble is to go with it.
Well, we need
We
a
want the
preamble
preamble
to
to
say,
come back to council before it's presented.
we need it to say that you've asked for this, we're providing it, you need to fill it out, here's what you need to do, here's where it needs to go, da-da-da-da-da. Yes, to educate them as to what we need to do. Yes. And where it goes.
So, as I understand the motion, it's to proceed with this, with the preamble, and it's to be coming back by November the 1st. 30. November 30. All in favor of that? Carried. Thank you. 8.2, this is the report 71 for the Grand Bend Area Sewage Treatment Facility. I'm going to ask that, I guess Mike Grundy from Stantec is going to present the PowerPoint. I'm going to ask council that I really am not going to accept any motions on this report, so we're through the full report. Every member of council will have a chance to ask questions, get answers. The public's here to hear the discussion. I believe we need to have a full discussion on this. I'm going to waive 7.4 because questions need to be asked and answered. I want a full debate on this report and on Brent's report before any motions are made or accepted. Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you to take us through this report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of council and staff and public. That looks fuzzy. And a lot of things look fuzzy. Okay. All right. Okay. What I want to talk about today is we were charged or helping a working group with the sewer board to take a look at options for the sewage treatment plant contract that had come in And some of this presentation is kind of an amalgamation. I've done 2 presentations to the working or to the board. This is kind of an amalgamation of both presentations because I think some of the people around the table haven't seen them, and I mean some of the other people have. So this will be old hat for some people, and hopefully new hat for others. Just to go through both councils of Lambton Shores as well as South Huron struck a working group to look at the sewage treatment plant and the upgrades that were proposed. That's the makeup of the working group. There were 4 members of the municipal councils, and then 4 members of the consulting team at the bottom, who I was one of. The mandate of the working group was to determine options and alternatives to upgrade and expand existing lagoons, evaluate those options, including the current Orville design, the design that was tendered. Take a look at those options with respect to capital costs, operating costs, life cycle costs, and then make recommendations back to the sewage board, and then the sewage board would make recommendations back to the 2 municipal councils. The goal was to really come up with options that were within the BCF, the Building Canada funding limit, and would meet the servicing needs of the community, or the communities. So work to date, there's been a fair amount of work to date. The working groups met 5 times, I can't add, but 5 times. We developed some evaluation criteria. We developed a whole list of alternatives, took a look at them, kicked the tires on the alternatives. We presented update reports to the sewage treatment plant board twice. We also took a look at the flows for the municipality of Lambton Shores to make sure that we were looking at the right flows for the right design period. And then again, as Mr. Mayor pointed out, we prepared a draft report, which is in your council package, and that's what we're talking about here today. And I want to go through a little bit and talk about flows because I think that there's some importance there with our evaluation. So I'm just going to go through flows a little bit. And what happens, and as you can imagine, is that sewage flows vary throughout the year. Normally, with a municipality that doesn't have a huge tourist population, you tend to get a lot of flow in the spring because you got snow melt and runoff and lots of rain, April showers bring May flowers sort of thing. Flows tend to drop off in the summer as it gets warmer, it gets dry, and then they pick back up in the fall as it gets wet again, and then drop off in the winter when everything freezes. For the community of Grand Bend, there's a little bit of a difference there in that because of your high seasonal population, your flows tend to be highest in the summer months. The July and August tend to be the highest flow months, and that graph there is I think about 2010 flows. So you can see it in the spring, March it was high, dropped off, and then picked back up, and then drops off again in the winter. Now the other thing that happens with flow, and as you can well imagine, is that flows vary throughout the day. So in the morning when people get up and they're brushing their teeth, getting ready for work, that kind of thing, flows start to peak, and they drop off, and then when people get back to work, they peak again, and then as they go to sleep, they drop. So you've got the flows that vary throughout the year, but then on top of that, you've got a peaking factor on top of sort of the daily flow, so that at certain periods of time during the day, the flows are higher than others. And we always talk, when we talk peaking factors in sewage treatment plants, we design them and we call it average day flow. So when we say, we're designing a sewage plant for 3,000 cubic meters a day, that's the average day flow. And then when we design it, we have to design it for those peaks, sort of that evening flow, sort of on the highest day. And that's our peaking factor that we add on. So that's kind of a bit of the terminology that I'll use a little bit as I go through my discussion. And where that's really important is that the average day that we call the plant, we only really design one component for that, and that's the aeration tank, that center